So, Pa'u, P-A, Akina U, not to be confused with the word Pau. It means the covering of a woman's skirt. That's basically what it is. And in 1854, George Washington Bates wrote, "There is many a lady in civilized nations who would envy the equestrian skill of the Hawaiian woman." That's how he first looked at it. The history of the Hawaiian woman who rode high-spirited horses, as they did, covers a lot of history. While the pioneer women were forging an unforgettable history of the Westward movement across the American prairies, the island women continued the freedom of riding astride their very spirited mounted horses and racing as fast as they possibly could with the first type of Pa'u skirts made of 12 yards of material, mostly colored material, which they made into flowing culotte style pants to cover their clothing. The Pa'u skirt kept sweat and rain from ruining the attire that they wore. Some of the older folks have said the custom started at the famous Parker Ranch on the island of Hawaii. My grandmother used to say that when the sailors visited Hawaii, the Hawaiian women admired the protective covering that the men wore over their wide trousers, and those were called selamokus. They had their little sailor hats on and their little sailor shirts, but they had wide bottom pants called selamokus. Looking at old photographs and drawing the different Hawaiian women dressed in holokus, gowns, and whatever that would need to be protected. Thus, the using of the Pa'u was the protective start of why they wore that skirt. This gave the women either a chance to ride bareback, English, or Western style. Preferably they went on to the English style. The women became excelled equestrian riders. The early riders just used plain calico or sailcloth, all which was brought to Hawaii by ship. Most of all the stories carrying large amounts of material came in by schooner. And they brought them in because the missionary stocks were here, and the missionaries were still the ones to cover you up, because God forbid if you were exposed. The earliest Pa'u was tied at the waist with a rope. After they draped you, then it was used a rope. And the ankles also were tied with rope to create a pantaloon effect. My grandmother said that the Pa'u riders had to retain their dignity at any age, as it was frowned upon women to wear trousers. And it was. So therefore now they had their ropes at their ankles, the ropes at their waist, didn't look like trousers. They had pantaloons. Once the Pa'u became popular, other elaborate materials came to be used to cover up the holoku of the missionary mumu. Honolulu, being the big city that it was, with the colorful ladies riding full speed across Kapiolani Park, sometimes 3 or 4, racing. They didn't just ride, they raced. They had pork pie hats. Do you know what those are? Pork pie hats and ribbons. They look like salad bowls with a little rim plopped on top of your head. They were called pork pie hats. And that was the customary way to go. Anyway, all these elegant ladies were always barefooted. Who in heaven's name heard that they were going to put on fancy boots to ride? I mean, why? You had your feet there for protection because you covered your legs up and your little footsies could hang in there. As the introduction of trams and steam cars became apparent in the late 1880s, the Pa'u rider then started with most of them having leis on their riding outfits and on their mounts. It appears that the colorful event was beginning to fade back. However, visitors coming to Hawaii are credited with the revival of the Pa'u when they appeared surprised not to see any more riding activities in the streets of Honolulu. In 1805, a promotional committee organized a group of 40 women or so to perpetuate the custom of Pa'u riding. During that year, The Pa'u became part of the Floral Parade in Honolulu. By 1907, the exhibiting of Pa'u Riders was making history. We, ourselves, just celebrated the 100th year of the Pa'u here in Hilo by riding at the Merrie Monarch in the annual parade. That was a year or so ago, right? The women riders that took part displayed the changes in the garments worn for the past 100 years. That was here in Hilo. The Pa'u tradition has become serious business to those who ride and take part in the island parades. All the islands have riders that compete, representing different colors and flowers of each island. Those parades normally take place to honor some Hawaii ali'is like Kamehameha, Aloha Day, Merrie Monarch Festival, because David Kalakaua, of course, he was the Merrie Monarch himself because he loved music, right? And so some 48 years ago, George Naopi started this bit of Merrie Monarch, and look what it's come to today. I mean, it's made history.